everyone, a very warm welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis for the 9th of December 2023. This entire video series is brought to you by LawSikho. Now let's quickly head to the agenda for today. Now first of all, we have the editorial segment, and here the article that we've taken up for discussion, it is published in the Indian Express, and the title of the same is Why Parliament Passed the Advocates Amendment Bill, which aims to weed out touts. Now, what is this practice of touts that we'll take up for discussion? And this entire article, this is essentially with respect to the recent amendment that is brought about in the Advocates Act. So, what are those amendments? What is the practice of touts? And what are some of the provisions which are relevant for the purpose of our discussion? That is going to be the core and the center of today's editorial. Now, secondly, we talk about the important news updates, and this is going to be followed by the legal news of the day. So without further ado, let's proceed further and let's first understand this article, the title of which I would again like to reiterate. Why the Parliament passed the Advocates Amendment Bill, which aims to weed out touts. So now let's start this article by understanding its context. So on the first day of the Parliament's winter session, which was held on Monday, the 4th of December, the Advocates Amendment Bill 2023, it was passed in the Lok Sabha. This bill, it was introduced in the Rajya Sabha in the monsoon session on 1st of August, and 2 days later, that is on 3rd of August, this particular bill, it was passed by the upper house of the Indian Parliament, which is of course the Rajya Sabha. Now, aimed at weeding out touts from the legal system, the bill, it repeals the Legal Practitioners Act of 1879 and it amends the Advocates Act of 1961. And the purpose of repealing the obsolete old act and amending the Advocates Act for the purpose of incorporating some of the provisions from the old act into this new act, this was to reduce the purpose of this entire exercise of repealing an amendment. It is to reduce the number of superfluous enactments in the statute book and to repeal all obsolete laws. Obsolete laws essentially are the old laws which no longer serve the exigencies of the current time. Now, replying to a question on the bill, the Minister for Law and Justice, who is Arjun Ram Meghwal, he said that the Legal Practitioners Act, it was a colonial era act without any utility, adding that the 1,486 such laws have been done away with since 2014. Initiating the discussion around this matter, Congress MP, he welcomed the bill saying that, and I quote, because of the asymmetry in our legal society in terms of education, access to people in authority and wealth, sometimes people, they do not know how to navigate the legal system. And as a result of this entire, asymmetry that there is in our system, in our society, and the non-access that people feel, the layman feel with respect to the legal system, which is often, from the outside seen as a very complicated and complex set of, procedures. So therefore, this gap that is there in understanding the legal system by the layman, it is taken advantage of by some legal practitioners. What they do is they hire somebody and give that person money or consideration and tell that person that you procure business for me, that is, you procure clients for me. So this essentially is the practice of touts. So this is what the MP has highlighted, that because of the asymmetry in our society in terms of education, access to people in authority and wealth, sometimes people do not know how to navigate the legal system. And this is being exploited, and some people, they step in as touts. They thrive because of the complexity in dealing with our legal system. So now let's understand, what does the now repealed old act it state. See, the Legal Practitioners Act, it came into force in 1880, and its purpose was to consolidate and to amend the law related to legal practitioners in certain provinces. The act initially extended to areas in the following states, that is West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Assam, Orissa, and Delhi. Any state government could, by notification in the official gazette, extend it to their states. Now, Section 2 of the old obsolete Act, it defined the term legal practitioner to include the following, which is an advocate, vakil, attorney of any high court. It also introduced a new definition of the term tout. So now let's understand the definition of this term with respect to which we've had some sort of a discussion here. So a tout, it was defined as someone who procures in consideration of any remuneration from any legal practitioner, that is to say from any advocate, vakil or attorney of an high court, the employment of a legal practitioner in any legal business. So this person who is hired by an advocate, he procures legal business for the practitioner, or one who proposes to any legal practitioner or anyone interested in any legal business to procure for remuneration the employment of the legal practitioner in such business. Simply, a tout is someone who procures clients for a legal practitioner in exchange for payment. So now let's understand what does the now repealed Act it further state. So the definition that we've already seen of the term tout, it also included people who frequented civil or criminal courts, revenue officers, railway stations, etc. for such procurement purposes. The Advocates Act of 1961, it was passed in independent India to create a single act to regulate the legal profession. This act repealed a majority of 1,879 acts but left behind provisions relating to its extent, definitions, and powers to frame and publish list of courts or list of touts. So, what is the Advocates Act? The Advocates Act, it was enacted to amend and consolidate the law related to legal practitioner and to provide for the constitution of bar councils and an all India bar council or bar. So before this, legal practitioners, they were governed by three acts. The first one was the now repealed, which is the Legal Practitioners Act of 1879. Then we had the Bombay Pleaders Act of 1920. And the third one was the Indian Bar Councils Act of 1926. So post independence, a need was felt for bringing in changes in the India's judicial administration. The Law Commission, it was tasked with preparing a report on reforms, and it's in its 249th report, which is titled Obsolete Laws Warranting Intermediate Repeal. The Commission, it recommended repealing the Act of 1879. Additionally, the All India Bar Committee, it made its recommendations on the subject in the year 1953. So taking these into account, the 1961 Act, it was passed. So what does the amendments in this particular Act it states? Let's have a look at the recent amendments. So the new bill of 2023, it now amends the Advocates Act of 1961 by inserting a new provision right after Section 45. This new provision, it prescribes 6 months of imprisonment for persons who are illegally practicing in courts and before other authorities. The new provision, which is 45A, it states that the bill enables every High Court and District Judge to frame and publish list of touts. However, no person's name it will be included in any such list until they've had an opportunity to show cause against such inclusion. So here the practice of touts is now included. Further, any authority who is empowered to make lists of alleged or suspected touts can send them to any subordinate court, which, after holding an inquiry into the conduct of such persons, will allow them an opportunity to show cause. And this is to uphold the principle of natural justice, which is that no one should be condemned without being heard. After this, the lower court will report back to the authority ordering the inquiry. If proven to be a tout, the person's name it will be included in the list of touts that will be published by the authority and hung in every court. The court or judge may exclude any person whose name is included in any such list from the court's vicinity. Additionally, this provision it punishes anyone acting as a tout while his name is included in any such list, and the punishment is imprisonment up to 3 months and a fine that may extend to rupees 500 or both. The newly added section of this bill it is analogous to section 36 of the now repealed act. However, the Advocates Act of 1961 did not include the provision. This is exactly what the new bill sought to remedy. Doing so would reduce the number of superfluous enactments in the statute book, says the bill's accompanying statement of objects and reasons. Keeping in line with the government's policy of repealing all obsolete laws or pre-independence acts that have lost their relevance and utility, and in consultation with the Bar Council of India, the government decided to repeal the Legal Practitioners Act and amend the Advocates Act. And now we proceed to the next segment. And now we proceed to the national news category with first update coming from the state of Mizoram. Zoram People's Movement leader Shri Lalduhoma, he took oath as the new Chief Minister of Mizoram on Friday. Along with him, 11 other ministers, 11 other MLAs from the party, they also sworn in as the new cabinet ministers. The 74-year-old Indian Police Service officer turned politician, he was administered the oath of office and that of secrecy by the governor of the state, and this was done at a ceremony which was held in Rajbhavan. Lalduhoma, he is the first non-Congress chief minister of the state since its foundation and formation in 1987. Mizoram's politics had been dominated by the two parties. These are by the candidates representing Congress and MNF occupying the chief minister's chair for over 34 years. And this is the very first time that a candidate from party which is different from these two has gotten the seat of the chief minister. The ZPM, an alliance of 6 regional parties, it secured a landslide win in the recently conducted state assembly elections. So in those the recently conducted state elections, the party it won 27 of 40 seats. Moving on to the next update, which is again a very historic development in the armed forces of our country. Captain Geetika Koul is the first woman medical officer to be deployed at Siachen. Captain Geetika Koul is of the Snow Leopard Brigade. She has etched her name in history by becoming the first woman medical officer of the Indian Army to be deployed at the world's highest battlefield, which is Siachen. This milestone comes after she successfully completed rigorous induction training at the prestigious Siachen Battle School. The induction training, which is considered a formidable test of physical and mental endurance, it covers various aspects such as you're tested on your survival techniques and specialized medical procedures which are crucial for operating in harsh conditions. Siachen, it is located in the northern part of the Himalayas, and it is not only known for its strategic significance, but also for its unforgiving climate and the challenging terrains. The deployment of Captain Koul as the first woman in such battlefield sort of situation and very difficult and challenging climate and terrain, it is a significant step forward in ensuring the gender inclusivity in our defense forces. Lok Sabha expels Mahua Moitra amid opposition, objection, and walkout following ethics panel's report on cash for query allegation. Adopting the report of its ethics committee that found her guilty of unethical conduct and called for an intense legal institutional inquiry by the government in a town bound manner into the cash for query allegation against her, the Lok Sabha has recently expelled TMC MP Mahua Moitra amid strong objections from the opposition. Following a very heated debate in which Moitra was not allowed to speak, the opposition walked out even before the motion for her expulsion. It was taken up for voting, and the Lok Sabha later on passed this particular motion by a voice vote. The crux of this motion essentially is that she is found guilty of unethical conduct and contempt of the House. Why? Because she shared her Lok Sabha credentials, that is to say, her email ID and the password of the Lok Sabha members portal to an unauthorized person. And further, she's been alleged for accepting illegal gratification through gifts and other facilities from a businessman to further his interest. A wax statue of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar has been installed in Jaipur Wax Museum. In a significant tribute to the chief architect of our constitution, also the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, Dr. BR Ambedkar, his wax statue it has been unveiled at the Jaipur Wax Museum, Nahargarh Fort. The founder director of this museum, Anup Srivastav, he shared the motivation behind this addition, citing the demand from tourists and visitors. Crafted with meticulous details, the statue it stands at an impressive height of 5 feet 11 inches, weighing approximately 38 kgs. The sculptor faithfully replicates the iconic image of Baba Sahib. That is, whenever he's seen holding a constitution book in one hand, adorned with his signature blue suit. Moving on to next update from Maharashtra. Transgenders, they are to get free education in public universities, facilitated colleges and affiliated colleges in the state of Maharashtra. Maharashtra will provide free of cost higher education for transgenders in public universities and affiliated colleges in the state. State's higher and technical education minister Chandrakant Patil, he made this announcement on Tuesday following a state level meeting with vice chancellors of all universities for effective implementation of the new national education policy. And the aim of this entire move, as all of us, we can think of, is that it is so as to ensure that there's gender inclusivity on campuses of higher education institutions in the state. And the state further plans to formulate comprehensive policy to ensure inclusion of transgenders in higher education. Next up, an update with respect to the new chairman of the BBC. So, Dr. Samir Shah, an Indian origin media executive who who has 40 years of experience in TV production and journalism, he has now been named as the UK government's preferred candidate to take over as the new BBC chairman. The 71-year-old, he was also honored with the CBE, which is the Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II in 2019 for services to television and heritage. He will replace Richard Sharp, who was forced to resign recently after his communication with the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, it came under scrutiny. He's going to take charge of this new position post a query and scrutiny by the Committee of the House of Commons. Next up, an update in the international segment and the subcategory being the sports category. Teenager Ilia Malinin tops men's shot program at ISU Grand Prix final. American teenager Ilia Malinin came first in the men's shot program at the Grand Prix final in Beijing on Thursday, beating the reigning Japanese world champion Shoma Uno. The 19-year-old scored 106.9, just 0.88 points above the second place Uno, to put him in the lead for the men's competition. His also fellow contestant and Olympic silver medalist Yuma Kagiyama came in the third spot with a score of 103.72. Indian origin novelist Meira Chand receives Singapore's highest arts award. The 81-year-old Indian origin writer Meira Chand was among the 3 Singaporean who were conferred the Cultural Medallion, the city-state's most prestigious arts award, in recognition of their artistic excellence and contribution to enriching the country's arts and culture scene. Meira Chand and fellow novelists Siachen Christine Lim, and also a veteran dancer who is Osman Abdul Hamid. They received the award from the president at a ceremony which was held on Tuesday. This award, it comes with a prize money of approximately 49 lakh rupees grant for each recipient to support their artistic pursuits. And with this, we come to the legal update segment, and the first update coming from the Honorable Allahabad High Court. So while acquitting a husband of the charge under Section 377 IPC for allegedly committing an unnatural offence against his wife, the Honorable High Court has observed that protection of a person from marital rape, it continues in cases where his wife is of 18 years of age or more than that. In its order, the bench of Justice Ram Manohar Narayan Mishra also noted that the proposed Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which is likely to replace the Indian Penal Code, there is no provision like Section 377 IPC. The court, however, clarified that as per the judgment of the Supreme Court in the case of Independent Thought versus Union of India, which is a 2017 landmark judgment, any sexual intercourse between a man and his wife aged 15 to 18 years would amount to rape. While making these observations, the court also endorsed a view which was taken by Madhya Pradesh High Court recently, wherein it stated, after the 2013 amendment to the definition of rape law, which is the section defining it being Section 375 IPC, there is no place for any unnatural offence to take place between a husband and a wife. Next up, we have an update coming from the Honorable Apex Court in the case of Ramesh Kumar Khatri versus the Election Commission of India. So the Supreme Court on Friday dismissed a PIL which sought directions on setting limits to the expenses on election-related affairs of the political parties. The PIL sought directions regarding the calculation and the fixing of expense limits by political parties, restriction on the expenses of candidates, restriction on articles printed and posted prior to the nominations, and the courts to restrict pamphlets and posters, etc. The petitioner highlighted that as per Section 86, subsection 7 of the Representation of People Act, the High Courts, they are to expeditiously dispose of election petitions within 6 months' time from the date on which the election petition it is presented to the High Court for trial. However, he contended that the High Courts, they do not decide even after 3-4 years, and sought further directions to all the High Courts to dispose of such petitions within the stipulated time framework. And with this, we come to an end of today's TNA. The link of the quiz, it is made available in the description of this video. And in case you want to get access to the free study material or the slides in this video, please join our Telegram channel. You may do so by scanning the barcode here or click on the link which is given in the description. Thank you for being with us.